Hello everyone, and welcome back to my celebration of Bloodborne's 10th anniversary, playing through version 1.00 of the Japanese release. We are still here, where we left off, in Central Yharnam. We had just talked to Gilbert, and he was telling us that we needed to head east, find the Cathedral Ward, and in the Cathedral Ward, get to the Grand Cathedral if we wanted to learn about this strange pale blood that we were asking about, that we found earlier that some version of ourselves had written a note about. So that's sort of where we left off. I did get a little bit ahead of the game when I started talking about the Great Bridge. I caught that while I was editing the previous episode. And it just... I have so much more respect for the people who are, doing actual lore throughs and have to keep all the information straight and what to present when. It's very impressive. As for me, I just keep bumbling through everything. So we're going to keep on with that. And on that theme, I did want to revisit something about this Black Hood. I brought up the last sentence last time. I actually want to focus on the first sentence of it this time, because there's a little bit of a difference in the translation here. Because in the Japanese, we have Chi to kemono no akumu kara mezameta toki. And the kara that I sort of emphasized there in the middle, and that I've read up to basically the first comma, if you're not aware. And that kara that I was emphasizing, it means from. At least as far as I know, I don't think there's anything weird going on here. If there is, it's something pretty obscure, and if you can verify what it is for me, I would love it if you could do that. That would be great. But I suspect what's happened here is, and I've talked about this in my Translation-Born series, Translation-Born series, and my sort of going theory is that there's a bunch of text where the Japanese got an additional pass that probably none of the official English versions did. And even then, right, I have observed, you can go and I have a whole special on the differences between the North American version of the English translation and the British English version of the translation, which I think is a little bit more globally distributed. And there's a lot of evidence that things just kept getting updated and updated and updated, and the Japanese got probably a little bit more cohesive updates than the various English releases seem to have done. And I think we can chalk that up to the explanation, because the English for this opening line here was, I think, upon awakening to the nightmare of blood and beasts. That makes it sound like you're waking up to a nightmare. And while that's possible, I'm pretty sure what's actually being referenced here is the blood and beast, and I think it's a singular, because I think it's a reference to that weird vision we had of the beast in that pool of blood that caught on fire as it was reaching out towards us when we got treated with the blood in the clinic. And I think because of that, we're seeing a little bit of an emphasis away from the idea that this place that we're running around in, Central Yharnam, is all a dream. And before I forget again, go figure, I go specifically to try and clarify something and then fail to clarify it. Oops. All right, here we go. I wanted to finish this sentence, right? Kabutte hudo. So the hood that we were wearing on our heads. And so we wake up and we find ourselves in this clothing. We don't remember putting it on. We don't remember wearing it. We don't remember coming to Yharnam in it. We just remember when we wake up from that dream, in my interpretation, when we wake up from that dream, we're wearing this. And we can see that first line with some slight variations on all of these pieces of attire, right? So we have haiteita zubon. It's a different verb because it's wearing on your legs as opposed to wearing on your head. Makarateita hotai. So wrapped around is the verb for the Japanese as opposed to like wear, hotai being bandages. And then we have kiteita fuku. And actually, is that a typo in the Japanese? I think it is. I wonder if this got updated. Oh, this is fun. This might be a 1.00 difference in the Japanese that I haven't caught yet. This is the wrong version of kiteita. So it should be the clothes that you were wearing when you woke up from the Nightmare of Blood and Beasts. But the kanji that we're seeing right there is the kanji for kuru, as in like to come, or to approach, right? It's you're coming to a place. And yeah, it should be the kanji for to wear. So, oops. They probably changed that at some point. That's another thing, is I think the updates that came through even after the game was released, there are a few changes on the Japanese end of things that don't seem to have been reflected on the English end of things. So that's fun. There's one specific difference in the Japanese as opposed to... Oh, I forgot I killed these guys. there's one specific difference in the Japanese from version 1.00 and later Japanese versions of the game that I am aware of. That was not one of them. So that'll be fun to sort of verify and find out if there are any more. I don't know if I'll be able to spot them, but that's an interesting one. And yeah, so let's get back to our taking this town apart, while I also try and not once again forget. Am I out of stamina? No, I had one more. I could have killed them. All right. Good to know for the future, I suppose. But one thing that I had wanted to talk about is the idea, you know, I was saying the phrasing of the Japanese sort of undercuts a little bit the idea that we've woken up to a place that is a nightmare, but sort of counterbalance that counterbalancing. Oops. I'm a madman! I gotta rally back that health! No! No, we just miss each other forever! Pro level play. But, I mean, look at these streets. These are ridiculous. Right, what's this carriage doing here? Where are the horses? The horses are dead. This is not normal. We've got burning pyres all over the streets. Is this a normal night of the hunt? I don't know. We have no other experience of it. We have these wooden coffins leaned up here. We have these like metal coffins enclosed in chains and things, and it's all very bizarre. It's all not what you would take as being a normal state for a city to be in. And I sort of commented briefly on that in the last episode and mentioned it might have something to do with my crazy lore theory to get us back in the spirit of 10 years ago when this game had first came out and nobody knew anything about it, that, oh, maybe we're dead or in a coma or something. And, you know, I think that there's something to the idea that all this weird stuff going on here, well, maybe it's evidence that we're not fully in the real world. And, you know, I also talked about how it could be, like, I tend to be a little bit more willing to ascribe certain decisions, visual decisions in these games to just the fact that this is a video game and it needs to look interesting and you need a certain amount of obstacles and this, that, and the other thing. Hey, buddy. I've never once fallen for your ambush. Never! No, he totally got me the first time I played the game. Particularly this other ambush. I spotted that first ambush and was able to do something about it, but that guy? Man, there have been times when I spotted that ambush and still got hit with it. But anyway, I do think that even though I've personally never really subscribed to the idea that this world is a dream, I've always sort of had my reservations about that particular interpretation of the lore. I don't think it's founded on nothing. And so this is another thing that I'm going to be doing as I go through this current playthrough, is trying to keep in mind how that potential interpretation of the quote-unquote real world... Oops, I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead! The quote-unquote real world being a dream might actually be the state of affairs. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I don't know how well it's going to... I don't know how well that's going to be reflected in my ultimate theory. I don't know how long I'm going to stick with this theorizing. As you can tell, I'm sort of scatterbrained when it comes to just trying to play the game and make any sense out of what I'm doing. So who knows? The little bits of indulgences I've had with the lore and the translation, all that stuff might sort of fall away as I continue to go through the game here. Also, this is very scary. I think this goes... I was talking in the last episode about, you know, that feeling of being in fear for your life and life or death struggles. That door will never break. The first time I played this game, I sure thought it was going to break. I really did not want to stand here. Sadly, all of my fear surrounding that possibility has been completely drained away from me. So, oops, I didn't expect to quick jump right back in. I thought I was going to do the regular long-range whip thing and not have to worry about that dog. Instead, took away half my health. Not very nice. Let's see. Can I sneak up on this person? Really like to sneak up on this person. We have to take these enemies piecemeal because, as I've said before, the scary thing about... Oops, he was already dead. Unnecessary, and now I've called more attention to myself. But this person does not have a gun, so they are less scary. Yeah, the scary thing about these particular enemies is just how many of them there are. And so, this is me dividing and conquering once again. I feel like it's the clear, proven winner for this particular scenario. You gotta peel off these hunters as they congregate around this... Oh, I did a better job of showing this off in Translation Born. They're congregating around the corpse of one of those werewolves that we were so welcomed by with such such magnanimity in the previous episode. There we go. Alright, should not be standing here. There's a guy who will shoot guns at me. Shoot guns at me. Shoot bullets at me from his gun. Alright, good. Alright, these people, I'm fine. Come this way. I'm fine with you. I just don't want to attract the attention of your gun-toting sniper friend. There we go. So long. Excellent. Problem solved. Alright. There we go. There's the shooter. I'm not going to give you time! No! I gave him time. Okay. There's the rally mechanic again. You could see I was regaining health there as I was dealing with that scenario. Oh, and I forgot I made... Ah! I forgot I made blood bullets last time. Forgot this person was even here. Or rather, I didn't even know they were here. And now they're not. Goodbye. Okay. But on the subject of the rally system... this gets back to something that I was watching another playthrough. I think it might have been a Last Protagonist playthrough, who I was watching whatever the playthrough was, and they were making the point that the rally system, like, it encourages you. You can still hit me. All right, thank you. Don't keep hitting me. I don't want to die. I want to demonstrate my point. Die. No. No, I took all that damage for nothing. Oh well. Oh well, I'll get over it. The fact that you can sort of regain a certain amount of your HP even after the enemy has technically died makes it so that your hunter appears to be, like, in a wild frenzy, attacking foes even after they're defenseless. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a great point. Something that's very accurate to the Night of the Hunt and the world of Bloodborne. It's terrifying enemies. Isn't there a thing here? Look at this. Look at this. There's a corpse, and I'm pretty sure this corpse is supposed to have an item, but there's no item here. I wonder if that's another 1.00 thing, or if I got it and forgot about it. I don't think I came this far. I don't think I got to the other side of this door. So, oh well. Stick with the scatterbrain theme. And I'm going back because I was just reminded by the visual running back here that we can get something of a look, provided there's nobody sneaking up on me. I don't see anyone. Here we go. There we are. The burning. They're called scourge beasts. I'm pretty sure that's an art book translation thing. A lot of the enemies in Bloodborne, they just don't have names in the game. They're not really attributed. But sometimes you can reference the way that they've been called in other, like the guide or the art books or things like that, and you can find their sort of quote-unquote official names there. And, all right, this square, we've got the crows, which the scary thing about these enemies, we're talking about these terrifying battles. Scary thing about those crows, they're hard to spot. They're hard to hit if you don't have the threaded cane, because a lot of attacks just go over their heads. And they make a lot of noise. So if you don't know they're there, which it's very easy to not know they're there, they're really scary when they jump out at you and, like, give that really disturbing "Caw!" I can't do it. But they give it. Here's another example of a terrifying enemy. Hello, my big friend. Turn around. Charge at me, please. Demonstrate my point. There we go. Terrifying. You have to put yourself directly in the path of that fearsome charge from a gigantic enemy and face it head on and fire the bullet. That's why I was talking before the last episode how the gun sort of gets you that additional feeling of fear. You don't have a shield, right? If that guy was charging at me with a shield, I'd be like, okay, I can hold up my shield like I would in Dark Souls, absorb the hit, maybe he'd push me back, maybe it would be a slightly disadvantageous position, but I'll recover, and I'll be able to strike back. No, I don't have a shield. I have a gun. I have to attack in order to prevent myself from being attacked. And if that doesn't work, I get punched. Like, and that punch hurts. I don't want to get hit by that punch. So it's just this terrifying... I think that particular enemy and that particular setup for the visceral attack is just very emblematic of that sort of fight for your life sort of mechanic that the director of the game was talking about when he was talking about a life or death struggle in the combat system in Bloodborne. And yeah, we already talked about how that sort of ties in with the rally system and how the rally system makes you look like you're crazy, like you've gone drunk with blood. Oh, we can't quite reach through there yet. I mean, let me demonstrate the point. Oh no, it's closed by a device. But we do hear the music box playing. Okay. Now this is quite a scenario. Whoop. Forgot where I was. All right. If we're not careful, there are a lot of enemies that walk into that particular square. Where are these dogs getting me? These dogs, I'm pretty good normally at dealing with the dogs. They're fighting back today. But there are actually this whole patrol here, quite a number of enemies that comes into this square, and one of them has a gun. And this is something that we desperately do not want to engage with. Enemies with guns that can shoot at you from afar while you are trying to engage them in a more of a melee struggle. Just not what we want. Goodbye. Okay. And the thing is, once we deal with the melee enemies... Oh, hello, dog. Goodbye, dog. And gun. Oh, must have been behind the well. And dodge. Go. Yeah. Now that there are no melee enemies for you to hide behind, you, sir, are no threat at all. Okay. Now, let's pick up some blood vials. There we go. Always 6 of them in that bench. I think this is kind of an interesting aspect of the way this game is put together. They give you a ton of blood vials here, and it's sort of like a one-time donation, because once you've grabbed them, they don't come back. And so it's sort of a reward for the fact that they know that this particular square is going to be a challenge. They've got that patrol. They've got, like, I died here, I don't know, 4 or 5 times at least. First time I played through this game, it was really a challenge to get through this square. And sort of the first time, I was able to run up and recover. And then after that, because I used so many blood vials, I ran up, recovered, got a bunch here. And then after that, though, they expect you, okay, now you know about this scenario. You got to be able to deal with it better, because we're not going to give you another boost to your blood vials. You only get the 1. Sort of an interesting idea, I think. And here we are. This is that bridge I was talking about. Man, check out the rest of Yharnam over there. Oh no! I didn't realize it was going to come at me from that far away. Oh no! Run away! Those werewolves are no joke. No joke. There's a terrifying life or death struggle enemy for you. Oh, and there's the other one's here. The other one's here. This is a terrible situation. I need to get out of this terrifying situation. All right, let's run over here. I think there's an enemy somewhere around here. There's also a treasure. Definitely want that bloodstone shard. Oh, it followed me. They both followed me. Why? Don't follow me. Oh, boy. All right, well, let's go this way because it's going to help us out in the future. Hello. Goodbye. I'm not going to deal with you. There's scary enemies behind me. Yep. All right, there you are. Lots of enemies around here. But this particular house is actually a shortcut. They make everything dark, so it's hard to tell. Oh, I totally forgot you existed. I thought I would find a treasure back here. But it turns out I already got the treasure. Yep, I already got the treasure, and there was just an enemy left. Yeah, they tried to hide these stairs from you. But this is actually... Oop, goodbye. A super important shortcut for the early part of the game. And this is something, I mean, I was talking about exploring the unknown. Is this? All right, no, this isn't the Hunter's Nightmare. This is the regular version. There is no DLC in this version of the game. So here we go. Let's open this door. I was talking about how exploring the unknown was sort of one of the... Oops. All right, so I still haven't fully unlocked the shortcut. That's important. But I was talking about how exploring the unknown is sort of one of the things they were going for. They made the initial area of Central Yharnam gigantic. And there's all sorts of hidden, like, secret paths that you can take. And it's very easy to get lost and disoriented in this particular part of Central Yharnam. But what you sometimes get out of it is you get moments like this, where if you haven't played this game before, hey, look, it's Gilbert. We just went in a big circle. And I think that's kind of cool. But as cool as I think that is, I distinctly remember the first time I played this game, and I was just absolutely... What happened? What happened? What caught me on fire? I don't understand. Phantom Fire. 1.00! I don't know what that was. Maybe it'll be clearer if I watch it back in editing. I don't know. Alright. Do I have pebbles? Hold on. Hold on. Do I have pebbles? I would rather... Yes, I do. Okay. I'd rather not use a Molotov cocktail on these guys. Oh, good. I didn't even need to use the pebble. But, oh well. I couldn't have known that at the time. Alright, now, charge at me. Or do that. That's fine. Yeah. Life or death visceral attack. No! I didn't make it! I didn't make it! I thought I could kill him in time. There we go. This is the downside of an arcane playthrough. Is that you don't deal as much damage as I'm used to. Still, the visceral attack timing for these particular enemies is one of the actual few that I know and can reliably pull off. You can get it on quite a lot of different foes. But, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot you a bunch. There we go. Goodbye. There we go. Problem solved. Thank you for the blood vials. This is a very easy spot to come and farm these things for blood vials, because they tend to drop them a lot. Well, I think this one dropped the shiny coins. That's the variation that you can get. But the thing about this gigantic initial area is it's super easy to get lost and turned around in. And I remember the first time I played this game, I was absolutely miserable because of this. And I know there are a lot of, you know, veteran Souls players who come over to this game and they love the gigantic first area and how well laid out it is. But for me, I mean, particularly at this point, because right now we have no way of leveling up. In order to level up, you need to get insight. But the fact that I even know that you need to get insight to level up is... Oh, that's interesting. Dog warped on top of its cage. Ah! Ooh, I think it missed. So long. Not taking... I don't want any more warping dogs. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. No more warp dogs. I wonder if that's a 1.00 thing. Anyway, I was absolutely miserable the first time I played through this game and was trying to figure my way around, and I kept dying to all the enemies. I kept trying to talk to them, for one thing, as I think I mentioned last time. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how I could level up. Now I know that what you need is insight in order to gain the ability to level up, but I didn't know that at the time. And so it just felt like this perpetual, like, really punishing maze. And less than ideal. Less than ideal. Of course, at this point, you know, I feel like a master because I can run around this part of Yharnam all day long and I never get lost. But, you know, just goes to show that part of the experience.
You're a hunter, aren't you? Then, well, do you know of any safe places?
And, oh, I don't even have the option to say no, because I definitely don't know of any safe places right now. But we'll keep that in mind, because at some point, we're going to need to start informing people of safe places. Also, sorry, also, note that at the moment, my blood vials on the upper left, they're at 20. That is the maximum that I can sort of hold in my on-me inventory, right? My on-demand inventory that I was talking about, I think, in the last episode briefly. In the current version of the game, those numbers would be blue, just to more quickly show you that you've maxed out your current capacity. So, the numbers are not blue because this is version 1.00. And that's just sort of a nice touch that they added to later games. And now, make some blood bullets, because I could use a little bit of a health boost. And your blood vials heal just a little bit more than health gets taken away. More health than gets taken away from your creation of blood bullets. So when you're down just a tiny amount of HP, it's usually a good idea to make some blood bullets. And the other reason it's a good idea to make some blood bullets in this particular moment is I gotta shoot these chains so that I can drop these treasures. Yeah. Gotta make sure I get them all. make them accessible. And this is sort of another thing that's sort of fun about Bloodborne. I don't think they ever do this again in the game. I think this is sort of this is maybe an idea they had that didn't quite get carried through. I think the other reason that this part of the game is so big is it was probably done at a point where the developers could be a little more ambitious, and things probably got a little bit out of hand as things went on. Total speculation on my part. I've just seen a lot of evidence that it seems like some of the development was a bit rushed. But, hey, we found another person outside of a house! This is another thing that people are talking about a lot in Bloodborne, and I think it's fair, is that all the NPCs are locked up in houses, and yeah, they give an in-game reason for it. There's an in-world explanation. It's the night of the hunt. People don't want to go outside their houses, so there are only a few NPCs that are standing around outside, but you sort of miss the human touch. And on the one hand, I think that's nice, because it's disorienting, fits the atmosphere, everything's scary, feels like everyone's against you, but on the other hand, it would be nice to have a few more friendly faces. That's sort of one of the things about the Souls games, is you get these worlds of terror punctuated by these moments of human connection. And when you lessen out that human connection, maybe you lose something. I don't know. It's never... This particular game, I think it works for, personally, but if you're one of the people who feel like it could have done with a few more, like, actual in-world modeled NPCs and things, like, I think that's also totally reasonable. Anyway, let's see what this person has to say.
Oh, a hunter, are you? And an outsider? What a mess you've been caught up in. And tonight of all nights. Here, to welcome the new hunter. Prepare yourself for the worst. There are no humans left. They're all flesh-hungry beasts now. Still lingering about. What's wrong? A hunter unnerved by a few beasts? No matter. Without fear in our hearts, we're little different from the beasts themselves. What are you still doing here? Enough trembling in your boots. A hunter must hunt.
And there we go. This is Eileen the Crow, and just one of the coolest characters in the game. And I just love that sort of 1-2 dialogue punch of... the one time you talk to her and she says, oh, you know, it's okay. If you're not feeling fear, it's a sign you've lost yourself, right? You've lost yourself to the bloodlust of the hunt and can't hold yourself back anymore, right? That sort of lack of inhibition on the one hand. And then on the other, you talk to her again and she says, what are you doing? Still lingering here, right? Like, what are you shaking in your boots? Go out and hunt some beasts. You're a hunter, you gotta hunt. So I sort of like how that emphasizes the juxtaposition, right? You're supposed to be afraid of these enemies. It's that life or death struggle again. You're supposed to be afraid of these enemies, but you're also supposed to be the one that kills them. You're the hunter. And so you need to sort of have that right mix of fear where you're in fear for your life, you're ready for anything, but you can't shrink from it. You can't just run away and hide and not engage with the challenges that the game is going to put in front of you. Also, the translation, those lines, so good. So good. Prepare yourself for the worst. Shikari surundayo. I love it. There's just so much more personality and like individual expression in the English there than there could have been. There's a lot of Japanese that, like, I think it's sort of become stock phrases in Japanese, and it just doesn't translate well into English. And so ways that you can take the underlying ideas that the relatively, if we gave them a very literal translation, lines, like the literal translations would come across as sort of vapid and generic. I don't think to a Japanese player they would sound quite that vapid and generic. I could be wrong. I'm not a native Japanese speaker. But they do sound that way in a literal translation. So to push those back up to make them more natural, it's just so good. I really do admire the people who did the translation work for this game. And I want to make that clear, right? I'm going to be talking, apparently, because I can't help myself, I'm apparently going to be talking a decent amount about the translation choices here and there in the game, particularly when it comes to finding our way around. And because of that, I think you sort of wind up with this focus on what's lost in translation. I was talking at the start of the episode about oh, they did this weird translation of kata. What were they thinking? You know, I wasn't quite putting it like that, but it might have come across that way. I don't know. And I kind of want to avoid that because, again, I really do think that the translators in this game are very talented and have, by and large, done an amazing job. So I want to, you know, first of all, I want to just state that. And second of all, I want to keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the game and start talking about places where, you know, for whatever reason, be it the process, be it, you know, a particular oversight, be it, you know, really tight deadlines. Ooh, I can sneak up on this guy, maybe. I think I remember feeling like I could sneak up on this person before and failing, but we're going to try it. You know, whatever the reason, I feel like it's worth keeping in mind that there's a huge amount of really, really solid, very masterful translation work on display in this game. All right, so let's deal with this particular enemy. Oh, let me get very close. Close enough that the gun stopped working. Haha, haha, so long. All right. And we'll deal with this enemy over here. I'm eyeing the clock is what's going on, because I want to keep these episodes to closer to half an hour now that we're past that initial phase of me really just indulging myself. I want to be a little bit less self-indulgent in this particular moment. Wow, that's good to know. I can sort of stagger them. They're slow enough with their attacks. With this threaded cane, I can just sort of bully them. Good to know. That is an enemy that, not this particular type, there's a type with something like a lance, we'll see it soon, that I'm a little bit more afraid of. But that one, at least, it's good to know, is fairly easy to bully with this particular weapon. I'm not used to being able to do that. But anyway, I was talking about the time, and I think this is a pretty good one. We've cleared away this room. I've hopefully made a bunch of useful clarifications and not lost too many people here. And by now, you've seen the first episode. You should know what you're in for. So apologies if I ramble too much, but we're going to continue to have fun. We're going to continue to celebrate more than 10 years now of Bloodborne as we go forward, and I hope you join me for the next one. Until then, thanks for watching, everyone.